In honor of Memorial Day, which is just around the corner, if you can believe it, we are now joined by a very special guest.
We are joined by Vietnam War veteran and author Samuel D. Axelrad. First of all, sir, thank you very much for your service. You have authored a memoir that's a very special memoir that has, I think, a really amazing life lesson. But we got to start first, back in the Vietnam War.
Right.
What were you doing?
I was the commanding officer of a Ford medical company, which was really a surgical hospital.
So you were Army surgeon?
I was the boss of 140 enlisted men and 7 officers.
And in addition to helping American soldiers, though, as it turns out, I understand you also ended up helping a lot of Vietnamese citizens.
Yes, the innocent civilians we also took care of. I had a rule, whoever came off the helicopters, they were going to be treated as patients who were in need of restoration of their health. And it didn't matter where they came from. And we had a lot of children that needed care.
There was one patient in particular, Charlie. What's the story?
Well, one day a gunship helicopter dropped him off, and he had a gunshot wound to his right arm. His arm was dead from the elbow down, and I had to amputate his arm. And we kept him there for 2 months while he recovered. And he realized that we were not going to shoot him or turn him into a prison. He helped us take care of all those children.
He was able to actually help you guys translate.
Yeah, yes, he did. He for some reason, even though he didn't speak English, he understood what we were saying, and he could talk to the children.
And Dr. Axelrad, in what a lot of people would consider an unlikely friendship, you befriended this man. I mean, the heart of that story is really captured in your memoir, and we've been showing some of these old photos. What is it like for you when you think back to that time? Because for those of us who haven't been on the front lines of the battlefield, that's got to be just unimaginable horror. And his injuries were really bad.
They were bad, and we saw all kind of injuries. And there are a lot of stories I could tell you about. That we experienced.
And they're not pretty ones.
That we experienced.
Yeah.
Now, what was amazing, one day my forward commander ordered me to get rid of him. He gave me 24 hours to get rid of him. I took him back to my base camp, and I took him to the local town of An Khê and got him a job in the clinic, so a place to eat and a place to sleep. And then, 45 years later, I took my 2 sons and my grandson to Vietnam. We toured the country, and a journalist we met, wrote a story, went up and down the country, and a man in Saigon called the paper and said, "That's my father-in-law," and he was in the same town where I left him 45 years ago.
That's just incredible. I was watching, you have a video on your website of that moment when you walked into the village,
right?
And I could just see your eyes just welling up with tears.
Oh, I hugged him and gave him a kiss. He gave me a kiss, and that's what happened.
And you had something, which I don't want you to tell me because I want to read the book, but you had something in the box.
In the box was his arm. My medics took the arm, reconstructed it, and I took it back to him. And somebody asked him, "Are you happy to get your arm?" He said, "Yes." He says, "Now I can be buried whole."
Wow.
That's
Isn't that
amazing way to look at it.
What is your relationship like with him today? Because 46 years later, I mean, you're both in different places in your lives. Did that bond still exist immediately when you were reunited?
Well, the bond still exists, but communicating with him is very difficult. So I communicate with the journalist. She and I communicate constantly. And in fact, I even recently sent a book to the Associated Press guy who wrote the story. They went all over the world, and the story ended up in what? Where did it end up? Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, I think it's kind of, to me, one of those stories of, you know, we always hear like people come into your lives for certain reasons, and it seems like that this was no accident that the 2 of you met.
No accident.
Dr. Axelrad, why is now the time you chose to write the book? After all these years, why did you decide to put pen to paper?
I tell you what triggered my thoughts is when it appeared in Ripley's Believe It or Not. I said it was time now to record this. And so I got together with my son and my rabbi, who happened to be a journalist before he was a rabbi, and we met every Thursday for 2 years. I transcribed the book and they edited it.
A true labor of love.
Yeah, and it was I worked on it every day, and we cleaned it up, and then we called it Peaceful Bones.
And I
And
understand
you
your
can buy
son was-
it at Amazon if anybody wants one.
Peaceful Bones on Amazon. I understand your son was co-author of the book?
Yes, he was. Now, my son Chris, when he graduated high school, won the National IB Writing Competition. If you can imagine being #1 in the nation.
But what's such a lesson for your son and for all of us to learn
Yeah.
from you? You know,
Yeah.
in tragedy, in hardships, of people from different cultures
Right.
able to work together and for the greater good.
Well, I took him and my other son and my little grandson Owen, and we toured the whole country. We went back twice.
And we should point out that a portion of the proceeds of the sales of your book go to support a foundation that's very close to your heart, Texas Heroes.
Yeah, Texas is it's Texan for, for the veterans, and another one is something Benoit. I think it's Wa Village, which is a village where children who were exposed to Agent Orange live. So, for a portion of the proceeds of the book go to those two activities.
Well, again, sir, thank you so much for your service, and thank you for continuing to help others through writing this. Thank you, Dr. Axelrad, for joining us today. What a story. And don't forget, you can purchase Peaceful Bones on Amazon.com. To see the video clip that I was talking about of that reunion in Vietnam, you really should go to his website. It is peacefulbones.com.
Yeah, peacefulbones.com.
We'll see you again. Coming up, folks, we are helping you get ready for the weekend ahead with a visit to Moody Gardens. We'll have that for you when we come back.